All right, and we are live right after the Champions League has just wrapped up. A wild game between Juventus and Porto. Oh my goodness, I'm still catching my breath. They ended in overtime, extra time. I think it was 4-4 in the tie, and Porto goes through on away goals. Oh my goodness, the drama. Chiesa looked like he did enough to get Juve back in this one, but Porto with a late free kick from Sergio Oliveira able to go through. Oh my gosh, so much to break down about this game. But welcome to the video, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. Be sure to hit that like button when you get in here, or if you're watching this later on YouTube as well. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new around here too. Man, there's going to be so much to talk about today. We got Champions League. Dortmund goes through, and they actually made it quite nervous at the end against Sevilla as well. But they did end up going through. Some crazy drama in that game as well. HAALAND scored twice again, so he now has 19 goals in 14 Champions League games. Absolutely ridiculous. And then, as I said, absolute madness in the Juve Porto game in Turin. I can't even recap all the craziness in that game, but what a performance from Porto, playing with 10 men for 75 minutes of this game and just digging it out, fighting last legs in overtime, and an incredibly clutch free kick from Oliveira. What a game. But anybody who's coming in, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments, leave your thoughts in the live chat so we can talk. We can go over whatever y'all want to talk about, but until more people come through, I will just kind of go ahead and start recapping the games and everything. And we have to start with this Juve and Porto matchup, man. A lot of top performances in this one as well. I mean, I mentioned Chiesa. He's the only reason Juve even got this far. Like, to be fair, the way that Juve played throughout the first half of this game, throughout the first half of the other game, both of those performances were really poor in my opinion, and I do not think that they did enough to actually really deserve to go through, but they were able to turn each game around. And in this game, I think the red card was really what changed it for him. But besides that, I mean, I thought they were really underwhelming throughout these two legs, and just a lack of energy, a lack of intensity, which is not what you expect. And to me, that raises a lot of questions about Pirlo. But inexperienced managers, that's kind of what you get. But they did turn it up in the second half for sure. They looked a lot better. Chiesa, as I said, provided all the spark, and I think without him, they just would not have gotten this far. 3 goals across the 2 legs. Nothing from Ronaldo. I mean, he did have an assist for Chiesa in this game, but that's a lot of people's big game player who didn't really show up and do much here. So maybe some questions to be thrown his way. But I'd be curious to hear what y'all think about that as well. But the other player I got to give a lot of credit to on Juventus, besides Chiesa, was Cuadrado. I thought he had a fantastic game. The amount of crosses that he was serving in. I mean, he should have had 2 assists in the first half, if not for Alvaro Morata. But Morata, once again, was a bit of a waste man in this game. Like, he had a lot of chances that he could have helped Juventus put the game away or get back into it when they were still trailing, especially in the first half. Marquezine pulled off some great saves for Porto. If we just talk about Marquezine and his performance in this game, like, he made huge saves in the first half. And then there was the play after, I think it was the second Chiesa goal, where he ended up kicking Morata as Morata was running towards the corner to celebrate. And low-key, he could have got sent off there. And then there was the challenge in extra time on Ronaldo as well. I mean, he was walking the line in this game. And I think that challenge on Ronaldo was clean in the overtime rather. But I mean, he had an unreal game between the saves, the nervy moments in goal, the potential red card. I mean, he had a great save towards the end as well, right before Rabiot scored. But I think without him, they might have well lost this game as well. Mustafa saying, "What's up? Hi, hey man, how's it going? Welcome to the stream, man. Be sure to hit that like, come through and chill. Subscribe if you're new. I don't recognize the name, but hey, if you are a subscriber, what's up, man? Welcome. And if you got thoughts on the game, definitely leave them. I would love to have a chat with people about what they thought about these games, but high entertainment. That's for dang sure." But what I mean, the storylines here are just endless. The one thing that I'm really sad about actually is that Sergio Oliveira, who got the winning goal for Porto, he won't be available in the next game because he got an extra yellow card. And so I think with the accumulation rule, he's actually going to miss the next leg, which will be tough for them. And I'm very curious who they may end up drawing. I saw somebody in our group chat just make a joke that City is definitely going to get Porto in the knockout round. So that would be pretty funny, but you could definitely see that happening. And it's going to be a tough task for them without Oliveira, because he was awesome in this game. Obviously scored the penalty, scored the free kick. I mean, clutch as ever. But I'll talk a little bit about the other game as well, the Dortmund and Sevilla game. And I was actually, when we first started these two games, I was more focused on the Dortmund Sevilla game because I was interested to see how that game would go. I thought Sevilla would kind of come out and fight for it, and they did, to be fair to them. They definitely had a lot of ball in the first half, and then Haaland kind of scored on a breakaway, a really bad play out of the back. I think it was Koundé who had a chance to just take the ball, and he went in kind of half-hearted to a challenge after the ball was played out of the back, and they stole it. And just as Dortmund do, within 3 passes, it was in the net, and Haaland had tapped it in. And then the second goal from Haaland in this game, it was such a weird situation. Like, it looked to be an awesome goal in the first place. He kind of ran through a bunch of people. He absolutely bodied Fernando, shook him off. They went shoulder to shoulder. Fernando ran into Haaland and just bounced straight off. And then Haaland tucked it away with his right foot, with the goalkeeper rushing onto him. A class finish from him as well. And he just showed everything that makes Haaland so good on that goal. Like the finish, the speed, the absolute just brute strength that he has, and then the composure at the end as well, finishing with his weak foot with the goalie rushing straight at him. I mean, you could say that the goalie didn't really have his arm up enough. That would be me being a little nitpicky maybe, but it was a great goal from Haaland. But then it gets called off, not for a foul on that play, but apparently there was something that happened like a couple sequences before that was a penalty. And it did go to Dortmund. So they called off the goal, but they gave Dortmund a penalty for something that happened earlier. And then the first penalty, Haaland misses it. It gets saved by the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper starts talking junk. And then it gets called back. Apparently the goalkeeper was off his line. And they retake the penalty. Haaland goes the same way. The goalkeeper dives the same way, but it just goes past him. And Haaland scored. And then Haaland gets all up in the goalkeeper's face and just starts talking crap to him. So that was like just the craziest sequence. And that was right around when Juventus scored their first goal as well. So that was like when all these games really started getting good. But that whole sequence was crazy. But it showed a lot about Haaland, like the ice to step up and take a second penalty, go the exact same way and get it past the keeper. In addition to everything that I mentioned that he showed on the actual first goal that got disallowed, this guy is just such a player, man. People talk a lot about the Mbappe and Haaland debate, but I am a huge fan of Haaland. I think they're very different players, and especially for the big teams who are thinking about buying them, I think it's going to be really dependent on like what those teams need. But in terms of strikers, like all-out strikers, it's been a long time since I've seen somebody as dominant as Haaland is. And I have no question of his ability to do it on any team, on any level, in any league. I mean, I have no doubts about him. That's for sure. So if anybody's coming through the stream, be sure to leave your questions, thoughts, comments, any of that. Be sure to leave a like on the stream as well. Really helps a few more people see it. And again, I would love to interact with you also. If you have any comments, I've kind of gone over both games a little bit, but I would love to hear it. It's been a dramatic day of the Champions League. So yeah, definitely get those in. And then, we can always talk about the games that are coming up tomorrow as well. I will also have an Arsenal preview dropping for the game against Olympiacos on Thursday. That'll be dropping tomorrow. But if anybody wants to chat about that, I'm certainly always open, to talk a little Arsenal as well. But yeah, man, Juve and Porto really stealing the headlines. What a game that was. I think what's interesting about this as well, if you look at it from a Juve perspective, like they do still have a little bit to play for this season, but I feel like this is a big failure on their part. Like if anybody but Pirlo was the manager, I think they would be in line to get sacked just off of this result, off of losing to Porto. Like I know Porto played really well, and I got to give them credit, but as I said at the beginning of the stream, I kind of think that Juventus really set themselves up for this. Like they did not play well in the first half of either game, and they found themselves fighting back. And in both games and in the tie as a whole, it just wasn't enough at the end. And I mentioned it at the beginning, but to me, that reflects very poorly on Pirlo. And I just feel like if you can't get your team motivated for a Champions League game, I mean, you could say maybe it's just the players. Maybe like obviously I'm not in the locker room, so I don't know if Pirlo is just not giving a good speech before the game or something. But to me, to not be able to get your players up for a Champions League knockout match, I don't know, man. I think questions about Pirlo for sure. And then you look at where they are in the league right now, like the standard that Juve has set for them to not be winning at the moment. I mean, yes, they could still get a little challenge in and still compete with Milan, both Milan sides for that title in Serie A. But especially if they don't win that, I mean, even if they were to win the Coppa Italia final, I think Pirlo might have to be on the chopping block for them as well. So it was a rash hire in the first place. Like this man didn't even have his coaching badges when they hired him. He was coaching a youth team. And I get it. I respect Pirlo as a player. Obviously, like I grew up watching Pirlo. I loved Pirlo as a matter of fact, but I question a lot about him as a manager. And, as you can see on the board, the people on Instagram wouldn't see the board, but bro, why wasn't Weston McKennie starting this game? Like the number one thing you would say about Juve if you watched that first half was that they lacked energy. And they brought it a little bit in the second half, but what is Weston McKennie going to provide? Energy. He will absolutely solve that problem for you. And so, like, there were times even when I felt like when Porto were down a man and they were attacking and Juve still wasn't even running back to play defense. Like, it seemed like at times they didn't really care that much. They weren't really trying. They weren't laying it all out on the line. And when you consider that coming into this game, all they needed to do was get a 1-0 result at home. Like the Juve of old, that would be no problem. Done and dusted. We'll get the shutout. We'll keep them off the board. Like that's nothing for them. But they just weren't able to manage that. And this is a very different Juve team for sure, players wise. But I don't know, man. I have some questions about Pirlo for sure after that. So, but I'd be curious to hear what other people think about that as well. So definitely leave your thoughts. Haven't seen any more comments here, but again, be sure to leave those if you have some, and we'll look for some more topics. See what else I got on my notes. So I guess I can talk briefly as well about the games coming up tomorrow as well, because I will unfortunately have to work tomorrow, so I won't have time to like make videos after. I won't be totally paying attention to the games or anything. But we can talk about them in this video a little bit, especially for people who may be watching later. Barca and PSG. A lot of people are trying to, I think, manifest some hope for Barcelona, especially given how the result of the elections went. If you missed my video on that, you should definitely check it out. But there's a lot of hope around the Barcelona fans right now. There definitely is. And I think we did get confirmation today that Neymar is going to miss the second leg. So that will be really interesting as well. Obviously, PSG did not need him in the first leg. So, I mean, I don't know how much of a difference that really makes, but if Barca were to do something crazy, it definitely would be easier if Neymar is not involved. I don't really think Barca have much chance in this, and I feel like they should just not keep their hopes up too much, because I would definitely expect PSG to get through this game. Like, the big difference here, I feel like it's easy to think, oh well, they've done it before against PSG. And besides just Barcelona, PSG have given out a lot of leads in the Champions League and dropped them and ended up having the other team come back at them. But the difference here is this is Mauricio Pochettino. This is not Tuchel, and this is definitely not Unai Emery. Those two had much more of a propensity to struggle in the big games and to overthink things and to end up just giving away leads and not being able to manage those games right. But I believe in Pochettino a lot more in his ability to do that. I mean, I feel like when he was at Spurs, I can't remember ever like a huge collapse. Now, partly it's because it was Spurs, like they weren't exactly in knockout games or huge games all the time, but you know, he did have the one really good run in the Champions League, and more so they were the team coming from behind. But I feel like when they lost, they kind of just lost. I can't ever remember them being in a situation of being in a big lead and not being able to hold on. So I think that he's a lot better handled to, a lot better prepared to handle being in such a advantageous position against Barcelona, when they will certainly be pushing, and they've played well recently. I mean, I think I understand why some Barca fans are definitely hopeful about this game, but it's just too big of a deficit. I have to be honest about that. And then Leipzig and Liverpool, you know, I don't think that Leipzig are fully out of this tie either. So obviously Liverpool's struggles in the league have been just weird to watch, to be completely honest, because I'm just so used to them being dominant. I'm so used to the Liverpool of the past few seasons. It still feels like a shock when they lose, even though we know that based on the lineups that they're putting out every game and based on the way they've been playing, that in a sense, some of these games they probably shouldn't be winning. But like, you still expect them to beat Fulham at home. And that's the kind of game that they've been losing recently. But I would be interested to see kind of what lineup they go with. I think Jota being back could really help them in this one. He obviously performed very well in the Champions League for them, like in the group stages before he got hurt this season. So I think that could actually be a big boon to Liverpool. But Leipzig are in a tough position because they have a real fight on their hands in the Bundesliga. And, considering that they do already have the 2-goal deficit to Liverpool in this tie, I don't think you would blame Nagelsmann for maybe sitting a player or two out if he feels like they need it. I mean, I still think he'll go strong in this game, and I think he'll sense that given Liverpool's poor form in the league, that there's definitely a chance that they could, give up the 2-goal lead, and especially the way that their defenders have been, that they could leak a few goals. But I don't know. I also would not be shocked if he left a couple players out and kind of just, really saved all of his resources for the Bundesliga, because they have a chance still to finish first and to knock off Bayern. But it's going to take an enormous effort the rest of the season from them. But yeah, if anybody else is around, I don't have a whole lot else to talk about. So unless the people who are here want to give a few thoughts in the comments, leave some parting questions, certainly feel free. Otherwise, I will probably just head out here in a minute or two. But yeah, definitely get those in, and I'll kind of hold off for a second just in case, just to double check that I didn't miss anything here. All right, yeah, I haven't seen anything, and yeah, still no comments coming in. So I am just gonna go ahead and head out. But shout out to everybody who came through the stream. Again, be sure to leave a like on this on your way out if you've been around, and if you've just been lurking. I see a like now, awesome. And yeah, for the people who check this out later, be sure to leave a like on the video as well. And yeah, man, leave your thoughts on the games today. Leave your thoughts on Champions League. As I said, Arsenal preview will be coming out tomorrow. I do have work during the Champions League, so I won't be making much content about the games tomorrow, but I am definitely looking forward to watching them. And, you can always catch up on all my other videos, man. There's plenty to watch. So, yeah, that's going to be all for this one. Thanks, y'all, for coming through, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.